Hello and welcome to the Macbeth course, Act 1, Scene 6. What happens in Act 1, Scene 6? Now, this scene is set outside Macbeth's castle. Why? Because King Duncan has decided to pay a visit to the Macbeth's castle and he's accompanied by his attendants and other Scottish lords. Now, all the names are mentioned who all have accompanied him, and this scene is important because this is where the murder, not in this scene, it is at the castle that King Duncan is murdered. Duncan says, "This castle has a pleasant seat, the air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses." Now, the purpose of this scene basically are threefold. One, to establish the castle itself. The look of the castle, which is deceptive because it looks beautiful. But here is where a ghastly deed is going to take place. Number one. Number two, King Duncan as a very positive and a very gentle kind of a person, as is obvious in this scene's interaction with Lady Macbeth, right? And also Banquo to an extent. Number three, Lady Macbeth, the way she behaves. Okay, we've already met her in the previous scene, and here we see her welcoming her guest. So Duncan says that this castle is in a very pleasant site. Seat means site. It's in a very pleasant place. The fresh, sweet air. The fresh, sweet air kind of recommends itself. Recommends itself means that it kind of delights. That it kind of feels very good. You know, it kind of smells very good. So this one is sight. It is at a very good. It is at a very pleasant place. The air kind of recommends itself means it kind of delights. You know, it kind of makes one feel very good. My noble senses, to convey that it is very pleasing, unto our gentle senses or noble senses, to say that, you know, it is something which is very pleasing. Banquo says, "This guest of summer, the temple-haunting martlet, does approve by his loved mansionry that the heaven's breath smells wooingly here." What is he saying? Now he is referring to a bird out here, the martlet. You would recall that you have studied about this in Merchant of Venice, right? So he's saying that the fact that this summer bird, it is known as a summer bird, martlet or martin. Okay, martin, it builds its nest. Mansionry means mansionry, building, mansionry. Okay, it kind of builds its nest here, proves how inviting and sweet the breeze is, right? How inviting. Heaven's breath smells wooingly out here. So heaven's air means how inviting and sweet the breeze is. Now, temple haunting martlet or martin, right, is a reference to the habit of the martin to make its home in the steeples of the churches. So that's where it would generally build its churches, which is why it is being referred to as a temple haunting martlet. Now, please do one thing. Remember these kind of phrases from the MCQ point of view. Okay, what is being spoken about? And you see there are lots of birds which will be mentioned out here in the play. The owl in general, owl at a couple of places. The raven, which Lady Macbeth speaks about. Here we are talking about the martlet. You know, which one of these is a temple haunting bird? You know, I'm just giving an example about the kind of MCQs that could also be asked. This one, of course, is easy if you know it. Kahin wahan pe ullu mat likh dena. Okay. No jutty, frieze, buttress or coign of vantage, but this bird hath made its pendant bird and procreant cradle. Now, what is he talking about? Banquo is saying that there is no projecting part. Jutty means projecting body, talking about more civil construction terms. No painted decoration on the wall near the ceiling, which is the frieze. Okay, there is a frieze. Yeah, here. Jutty is talking about the projecting part. Frieze is talking about the decoration part on the wall near the ceiling. Buttress is also another form of projection. Okay, or a suitable corner for resting. Coign of vantage. Vantage means giving you an advantage where you can rest. A resting kind of a place, a suitable corner for place. But this bird has made his hanging nest pendant bird. I've given all the word meanings in the note, so kuch likhne ki zarurat nahi hai, but just remember that each one of the word meanings you can know in this kind of a passage. Okay, pendant bird, he's talking about his hanging nest, and the procreant cradle is where the young ones are bred. The procreant cradle. Okay, where the young ones are bred. Where they most breed and haunt, I have observed the air is delicate. So I have noticed that they breed and live in places where the air is most fine. So what Banco and Duncan are saying, and Banco is kind of substantiating that, is that this particular castle is good. The air is fresh, the air is inviting. And what is the proof of that? The martin, the martlet, the bird, the summer bird, which is a temple haunting bird, which normally constructs its nests, procreant cradles in the churches, right? It has chosen this castle of the Macbeth to do this. So it is kind of a certificate that this castle is an inviting and a good place, right? So you see the irony in that. You know it for a fact that this is where he's going to be killed. But the outside, the deception, which is a theme of Macbeth as a play, that the deception, bahar mein se pata nahi chalta. Macbeth, when he speaks to Duncan, he will speak in the most polite and the most docile tone. Lady Macbeth, you will see the way she invites Duncan inside her castle also will be very two-faced. So the castle also in that sense is two-faced. What it is not showing. The real self of the castle in that sense, the castle is an extension of the Macbeth's personality, because that's where the king is killed, which is the most, terrible thing to happen, right? The king being killed. Now you see the air is delicate. Okay, now the moment he says that I have seen that they breed in places where the air is most fine, exactly at that point in time is when Lady Macbeth enters the scene. And Duncan says, "CC, our honored hostess." Now the contrast that Shakespeare has built in, and he has done that throughout the play. The talk here is about life, about the martin, the bird, right? About how she has chosen the castle where she will build her procreant cradle, right? And you know it for a fact that this is the same place where murder is being plotted. So the contrast out there. Keep making these kind of notes, because if you make these kind of references, it will only add to the quality of your long format answers, right? Again, Banco is talking about giving life and shelter, right? And you have Lady Macbeth who's actually talking about death, or at least thinking about someone's death. So Duncan says, look, it's our honored hostess who has come. The love that follows us sometimes is our trouble, which still we thank as love. Now, what he's saying is that as a king, I must always acknowledge the love of my subjects, right? The love that follows, the love that my people of my kingdom, kingdom of Scotland, the Scottish kingdom, they give towards me, the love that follows us, even though it may bring us trouble sometimes, sometime is our trouble. Herein I teach you how you shall bid God build us for your pains, build us for your pains and thank us for your trouble. I really don't know what is this ILD. Guild ho sakta hai? I really don't know. Okay. Now, so he says that I am thankful that because we know that they love us, therefore I am teaching you to thank me for the trouble my presence is causing you, since it comes out of my love for you. Okay. In taking the trouble for me, you win God's thanks. Okay. So he's saying that I am thanking you for the trouble that, my presence will be causing you, but because it comes out of my love for you, and in taking the trouble for me, you win the thanks from God. So that's what he's saying. So basically in classical times, it was considered the duty of the host. I mean, even now, Atithi Devo Bhava, right? So you essentially are expected to be as hospitable as possible towards the guest. And this reference by Duncan, in a way, contrasts with the fact that Macbeths are immoral, they are deceptive, and they are inhospitable with regard to the king. Because who kills the person who has come to live at your castle for a night and rest there, right? And have dinner, right? Now, all our efforts, Lady Macbeth says, All our service in every point twice done and then done double were poor and single business to contend against those honors deep and broad wherewith your majesty loads our house. So she says that all our efforts, even if they are doubled and then doubled again, very much like you remember Merchant of Venice, that whole thing of how many ducats should be given. So even if they are doubled, so Shakespeare essentially same style use karta tha. Even if they are doubled and then doubled again are nothing, poor and single business to contend with, are really worthless, are nothing compared to the honor that you have brought us by visiting our castle, by visiting our home. So being grateful to the honors that you have given us in the past and those you have added recently, the Thane of Cawdor she's referring to, late dignities. Late dignities is essentially honors demand, your majesty lords our house. For those of old and those late dignities heaped up to them, we rest your hermit. So she's saying that we are indebted to you and we invite you and we support you, rest your hermit. So late dignities is the recent title that he has given to Macbeth. So he says, where is the Thane of Cawdor? So the moment she says late dignities, he understands and he refers to him as the Thane of Cawdor, not as the Thane of Glams. We coached him at the heels and had a purpose to be his purveyor. So he says that we followed him closely. Coached means we followed him closely. I hope to arrive here. Purveyor means I hope to arrive before him. Purveyor is the person who arrives before as a messenger to give the message, like the other fellow came before him, but he rides very swiftly. But he rides well means he rides very fast. And his great love, sharp as his spur, hath helped him to his home before us. And his great love, which is as sharp as his spur, weapon, spur means weapon, bhala, he helped him reach before us. Halt means help. And fair and noble hostess, we are your guests tonight, right? So we are your guests tonight. Lady Macbeth says, your servant ever have theirs themselves, and what is there in compt to make their audit at your highness's pleasure, still to return your own. So Lady Macbeth says, a purveyor is an official who prepares the king's reception on trips, and here Duncan is being very modest when he says that I will be Macbeth's purveyor, or I wanted to be Macbeth's purveyor. Lady Macbeth says that we are always your servants, and our servants we ourselves, our servants we ourselves, and everything we own. She's speaking almost like in third person, all belong to you. And incompt means like it is like a deposit which has been entrusted to the Macbeths, right? Incompt, it's all this, it's like, you have given us for safeguarding in deposit kind of thing. Duncan says, give me your hand, conduct me to mine host. Give me your hand, take me to your host. We love him highly, we love him. So he's being very gracious and shall continue our graces towards him by your leave, hostess. So, we'll continue to bestow royal favors on you. So she has said that we keep it in your trust and it is for you to enjoy and ready to return to us, because it is still always your own. So nothing that is here is like we belongs to us. It has been given as a deposit to us, and you are always free to use it anytime that you would want to, right? And we are ready to return it to you anytime that you want to. Now, continue our graces towards him. What Duncan is saying is rather ironic, because he has actually made it very easy for Macbeth to kill him by actually entering his castle. He has entered the villain's den. I mean, if I may use the term villain for Macbeth, who is more of a tragic hero, but here he's going to be someone who's going to commit an extremely evil deed. And Lady Macbeth leading Duncan, just think of this scene. A castle. I don't know if any one of you has seen a Scottish or a British castle, English castle, but they are like, built of, rock stones, and they're huge in size. So Lady Macbeth holding Duncan and taking her inside. She's taking Duncan inside. She's actually leading him, because he's saying, take me to your host. But who is the host? The host is actually going to be a murderer. So she's actually leading him towards his murder. That makes for an extremely chilling kind of a scene. Okay, I hope you have understood Act 1, Scene 6 till here. We will now move to Act 7, which is by far the most important scene, apart from Act 1, Scene 3 of Act 1. Because here we see Macbeth and Lady Macbeth together for a considerable period of time. We will be doing it in two parts, because there are lots of important passages in this particular scene, which we need to kind of do it very, very carefully and in a very elaborate manner. Okay, so now I will see you next in Act 1, Scene 7, which is the last scene as far as Act 1 is concerned. Act 2 is when King Duncan will get killed. Okay, let me break that suspense for you. Thank you very much.